banger. He is my provider. My back, my back, my back. The most I have my back. My back. My back. The big man have my back. My back, my back. The most I have my back, back, back. That's why I feel like beat my chest. I'm blessed. I'm blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. I feel like beat my chest. I'm blessed. I feel like beat my chest. I'm blessed. I feel like beat my chest. Yo, I sing it. Oh, see a banger. See a banger. Give thanks to the Father. Everybody, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. See a banger. See a banger. He is my provider.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457 9997. Activated morning 99 is.
And back with of our Activated Mornings program here on WEFM. In studio, it's Dianna Cain and myself, Roleza Samuel, and we are joined by the Honorable Grenville Williams. He is back with us for another segment or another edition of our political conversation series. Grenville Williams is the current Attorney General as well as the ULP's South Leeward candidate. So, Mr. Williams, welcome back to the studios of WEFM.
Good morning to you here. Good morning to St. Vincent and the Grenville. Good morning to listeners further afield, and good morning to all of the people of South Leeward.
All right. So we are going to get into it with Mr. Williams. Please note, listeners, that it is an interactive session, but we would indicate to you when it is that we wish for you to call, and then when it is. So, Mr. Williams, you were here not so long ago. So since we last spoke, how have things been going on the campaign trail? Besides adding another soul under your shoe, how have things been going?
Well, it's been an exciting journey so far. It's one where you have to spend a lot of time engaging with all of the people of South Leeward, getting their perspective on what affects them, what affects their community, and sharing with them your ideas as how you can work together to improve their life in South Leeward and St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a whole. It's exciting because you get to hear people's perspectives, and sometimes you may not have thought of something from a particular standpoint. So to hear that person express it helps to widen your understanding, helps to widen your own perspective, and also provides an opportunity and fertile ground to generate new ideas as to what you can do in the community and for the country. So far, I would say it's quite exciting, challenging, but exciting. Lots of walking.
Yeah. So you ain't wearing all the shoes. But what has been the biggest challenge so far, though?
What I would say is that South Leeward is the second largest constituency in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Physically, it is huge. And also it has a significant number of persons registered as voters. So the issue is, how do you cover such a large area in 7 days? And sometimes you go into a community, you speak with persons, and then someone from that community is going to meet you and say, well, it's a long time you didn't come here. Mm-hmm. And then you say to them, but I was just there this afternoon. Mm-hmm. It so happens that you did not go to the part of the community where they were, or maybe they were at work or undertaking some other activity when you're in the community, and they feel that you're not visiting enough. But it's a large area, and you just have to keep pounding the ground. You just have to keep meeting the people. You just have to keep being as present as possible within the limitations of 7 days. And someone said to me, one of the constituents, well, you say 7 days, but God also only made the earth in 6 days. He took a rest on the seventh day. So I had to say to him, I mean, there's a situation in the Bible where they spoke of a sheep falling into a well. And that was an exception where you would work on the seventh day. So I told him, this season is very much like that.
Okay.
Well, how have you been, bearing all that in mind, how have you been managing being the Attorney General? Well, initially, persons had concerns with you being Attorney General and also being a political candidate. I don't know if they still have those concerns, but how have you been managing that? Because that is a big role that you have to play, as well as managing to go around and be with your constituents. I don't know if you're one of them where persons are complaining they can't reach their representatives. So you have to now build up that relationship with them, find time for them, as well as find time for your job. So how has that been going?
To take one of the points, Attorney General and politics, the Constitution allows for a political or a public servant Attorney General. I am a public servant Attorney General, but historically, most of our Attorneys General, they have been politicians as well, predominantly with the other political party, not so much with the Unity Labour Party. So that matter, I believe, should be put to rest. It is quite demanding. The AG's job, as you said, entails working for all of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenville. You are the principal legal advisor. If something happens on the street, the AG's chambers is responsible for providing legal advice. What I've been very fortunate in that I work with a wonderful team of lawyers at the chambers of the Attorney General. So I have some excellent counsels in the chambers, and they do significantly. So delegating is very important and helps to manage the workload. And of course, giving people responsibility allow you to see what they're capable of and allow you to have confidence in them. And I have the greatest confidence in the team at the chambers of the Attorney General. Also, historically, I'm also a person who spends a lot of hours working where necessary. So I have no problem putting in a 16-hour day if that is the case. I think one of the political rivals say I'm either politician by day or AG by night or vice versa. And there's a fact in that I do both jobs, but I also put in the time. So sometimes in the day I'm politician, sometimes in the day I'm AG, but I also make up that time in the night by putting in the extra work and ensuring the duties and responsibilities are covered professionally and effectively and in a timely manner, because it is important that persons in St. Vincent get quality service and get quality service in a timely manner. And that is one of my mantras, really. People speak about the public service and say, oh, with the public service, people work when they want, how they wish. I'm very much opposed to that. I believe when we serve the public, we should be putting them in a position where they could walk into any of our institutions and say, the service delivered here is of the highest quality. The service delivered here was delivered in a professional manner. The service delivered here was delivered in a timely manner. So I have no problem putting in a 16-hour day just to get the work done. And as I said, right now, it's 7 days per week.
All right. Back to the constituency. What has the biggest need been that's been identified by the constituents?
If I am to be quite frank and direct, persons is the way. It doesn't matter if I go into Vermont, if I go into Clare Valley. I was in Camden Park yesterday, and the majority of persons I spoke with in the Carib area said, look at this road. It's been in this condition for a considerable period. So it is the number one issue raised by constituents. And I said to them that I know the conditions of the road. And yes, when I am serving as your representative in Parliament, I am serving representatives, I am going to advocate and lobby for us to have a program of road management, road rehabilitation, road repairs. And I say road management because if we note, there are a lot more vehicles on the roads in St. Vincent now. In our communities, the roads are very narrow. So we'll have a program where we widen those roads as well as keep them in a good state of repair. But that is the number one concern raised by constituents.
Any other complaints? What that you get from your constituents? Any other concerns?
Interestingly, road dominate, I would say, by about 70%. After they speak about roads, I suppose coming out of burial and the fact that the government has been doing considerable work to rebuild houses, to repair houses, to rehabilitate. a lot of persons ask questions about how can they get assistance to either build, how can they acquire a piece of land, or if their house has a degree of disrepair, how can they get assistance to put their house in a better condition than it's in. Unemployment, interestingly, is not a major issue. Most people you speak with, they are working, whether they are working with the state, so as a public servant, or in the state machinery, they're working with the private sector, or they're engaged in their own entrepreneurial activities. So I'm very heartened by that. I'm very excited by that. I know we are on the right track when the majority of persons, they do have employment opportunities, but certainly roads and housing are key issues. Vermont is an agricultural district, but again, for the farmers, their main concern is having consistent markets and having consistent prices. They speak about Edos by way of example. And this week, you may sell one sack of Edo for $300. And next week, somebody's offering you $100. So the farmer, having invested heavily in producing these Edos, they are not satisfied and content Edos lost. So their concern is really to have a consistent market and consistent prices as far as possible. We all know there are such things as market forces and various conditions that affect prices, but I suppose if there can be some sort of system in place where there is at least a minimum base price, that will be very helpful for the farmers, especially in the Vermont Valley, and I'm certain throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Okay. So if the roads are fixed, you might come in for some serious high prices. But anyway, we continue. All right. So I'm talking about the constituency and involvement of persons, etc. Now, Camden Park back in the day was well known for known as a manufacturing hub. To some extent, it still is. And we know that, yes, many of the factories that came there came by industrialization, by invitation. But do you have or do you see any plans to revive the manufacturing industry within South Leeward in particular? And if so, how so?
Well, in my opinion, South Leeward is ripe with opportunities for development. And one of those areas is the expansion of the industrial estate. We can't do it as in the 1970s because the world is more global now. We are a small nation and we have to compete with places like China, Thailand, India, where you can produce at a cheaper rate because of the labor costs. What we have to do is educate our people to deliver very technical services. So that requires high skill set and bring that type of activity to Camden Park and throughout South Leeward and St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a whole. We can't get the production of what I would say very basic items. We have to go at the higher level, that you're really a technical person, that you carve out a niche. And while, yes, other jurisdictions can do it as well, it's something that the manufacturers would want to pay premium value for in terms of labor, because we are in the West Indies, small jurisdictions, and notwithstanding persons may argue that our salaries are not the highest, and that's an arguable point. When we look at the globe and some of the larger countries, we really cannot compete in the industrial sector if we try to go head on. So that's why we must carve out specific areas and specific services. One of the employers, I don't want to identify the call center by name, and it employs a lot of young people. So we also have to look at maybe providing services rather than strictly looking at manufacturing, which is require larger factors of production and so forth. But your human capital is perhaps our greatest resource, and we have to find ways of being able to maximize the potential and the opportunities for our people, but maybe shift away from the heavy manufacturing or even the light manufacturing, go into the more technical areas, go into the more knowledge-based areas so that we can employ people. For me, South Leeward is also developing significantly in that our population is growing. And if anybody traverse from the Leeward side into Kingston in the morning or try to leave Kingston afternoon, you're not on the windward side simply because the population is larger. I think this provides an opportunity for us to bring certain services into South Leeward so that persons do not necessarily have to go into Kingston to access such services. So some of the public services, we could open offices here in South Leeward. So you can do it here. We already have a supermarket in the Pembroke area. We just need to add a few more services around that. So persons could just drive to Pembroke, park in Pembroke, get their various daily activities satisfied in terms of the services they want to access, and then they do not have to contend with the issue of traffic in Kingston. I know one of the challenges we would face with that model is that some of our premier secondary schools are still located in Kingston, and therefore if you have children, you may want to drive them. But perhaps we could put in place a reliable, good transportation system that would assist the parents in ensuring that their children get to school safely, get to school on a timely basis, and therefore reduce and manage the number of persons going into Kingston and alleviate some of the traffic congestion. And that opens up a lot of opportunities for construction in South Leeward. It opens up a lot of activities for persons to offer rental of premises where you're not in possession of your own home, or you move into the area. It opens up avenues for persons in the transportation sector. One of the things, I know you studied in Trinidad and Tobago, and one of the things is in some there that are short drops. So they take you to the main road and so forth, and then you take the regular bus. Again, those are opportunities open up for persons in South Leeward where we see greater economic activity, greater recreational activities, and so on. So I think looking at opportunities, again, not just manufacturing, but we look at how we can bring more services to South Leeward, how we could allow people to access these services in South Leeward without having to go into Kingston. And we can just stay here on the Leeward.
And as you raise the point of traffic, I note, as a nation, we note that there are several plans in place for Central Leeward itself, right? The development of the tourism and hospitality sector. But has there been any advocacy for a bypass road on the Leeward side? Because if we are going to be developing to a greater extent on this side of the island between West Kingston, South Leeward, has there been any advocacy for that?
Yes, and again, one of the earlier questions you asked is, from the engagement with constituents, what information do you get from them? And a lot of persons share that there are actually many roads on the interior that could connect various parts of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Plans to develop the road network to manage traffic in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have to clearly identify what these routes are, and we have to clearly put a strategy plan and a program in place to ensure that there is connection of these particular roads. I know many years ago there was major talk of having a bypass road that would stretch from the Windward side down to the Leeward side. Yes, there has been discussions surrounding that. It is time for us to move the discussion to another level. It is time for us to undertake the relevant studies. And in addition to the studies, it is time for us to connect those communities where it is not so difficult at this point in time. One of the things that we have to do is we have to reserve the space for the roads. Because if you drive in some of our communities, you would note that we build right next to the road. So that if we want to expand even the roads in the communities now, it is a bit of a challenge, because perhaps we'd have to acquire private property to do so. In some cases, the properties are so close to the road that even if you want to acquire, it may be impossible to do so without having to relocate that homeowner. So when we are speaking about a bypass road, I think it is high time that we have our surveys done and we reserve adequate spaces for these roads. And perhaps we need to look where it is possible, and find other ways of managing the traffic. But yes, there is that discussion. Certain persons have indicated that we'll undertake studies around traffic management. We'll undertake studies around our road network. We have an enhanced, more effective and efficient road network that takes us not just...
Sorry. As it relates to the concerns from your constituents, whether it be road, jobs, or what have you, what sort of reassurance can you give to the constituents of South Leeward that if your party wins election and you become their representative, that their needs can be prioritized to some extent, if that be the case? Because usually when persons are calling for things to be done from the area representatives, whether it be ULP or NDP, they're generally not thinking about all the other people who need this same thing. They're just thinking, so
education, airport support, health, as well as agriculture, tourism, building out the tourism economy that justifies the ULP being given an opportunity to be considered for good governance of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And good governance is based on deliverables, and the Unity Labour Party has been delivering for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, specifically as it relates to the concerns of the people of South Leeward and how I've been able to speak to them. First and foremost, I do concur and agree with the people that the attention needs roads. And one of the first things that as a representative one needs to do is listen to the people and listen to understand their perspective, listen not just to hear them, but listen with a view that how can we work together to formulate solutions to these challenges. And you made the point that if a person is in one community, they're going to speak about the road in my community. They're not going to speak about the road in the community. And I have been frank and direct with persons, and I said to them that I will be representing all of South Leeward. And certainly there are many areas in South Leeward that share your concern. What we have to agree on is that we need a plan that would be a 5-year period. So I could give you assurances that maybe your road is not going to be done in the first 6 months, but as soon as we complete the road for your neighbor, that we will be moving to you. And that is how we will roll it out across South Leeward. So it's about having a clear and consistent plan as to how you're going to effect the change that the people and repair of roads. The other thing I say to people as it relates to roads and so on is that we also have to look very carefully about our planning in general. One of the challenges with our roads is that a lot of water flow onto our roads because one, we have more housing now. Two, some of the drains may be inadequate or they may be in a state of disrepair. So we also need those civil works to be done to complement and to help to maintain the integrity of the road. And that could be costly, that could be time consuming. So I also ask the indulgence of the people of the communities while the work is being done. And I use the example of the road between Raylan Hill and Hope Bridge in Vermont. Really, that road should have been completed by now. It's a 5.6 million road that runs from, as I said, Raylan Hill to Hope. And it is going to make that passageway much more easy for people to utilize for the daily activities. So your commute is going to be easier. Getting to school, getting to work is going to be easier. It is going to be easier on your vehicle. So hopefully a little less maintenance and so forth. We want you to still maintain the vehicle so that it's in very good shape and everybody on the road is safe. But in terms of the parts being more durable because the road is in very good condition. The road has taken a bit longer than I envisioned. And I went to the people very on and I sat with them and I spoke with them in a sort of town hall meeting and outlined the plan and the strategy. I did not have as many town hall meetings as I wish, but they had certain expectations. And what I had to say to them is, yes, you are going to experience certain inconveniences, but at the end of that period, you are going to have a road that's going to last 30, 40 years. So we have to be patient at this point in time to get to the level where we can become more comfortable. And I also want to say, so you asked about how I'm able to assure the people of South Leeward. That is a clear example. I am not yet elected, but I have advocated strongly for this $5.6 million road to be done in that area. I've advocated again for a road a road to be done in the area of Hog Hole, Penniston. That's a concrete road. It was completed. Recently, we did some repairs to the road just between the clinic and the community center in Vermont. One person or two persons commented it's been a significant period since that repair ought to have been undertaken. But again, it's something I advocated for, and it has been done. The other thing is that persons may see me sometimes in a lot of photos at the construction of roads. I don't just advocate for it, but I actually go to the site where the road is being constructed, and I speak with the workers there, I speak with the supervisors, I speak with the contractor to say, how is the work going? Or if I notice certain things that are not being done, I point out to them that maybe this also should be included in your project if the budget and the scope of work allow for it. So, for example, the road between the clinic and the community center, initially they were contracted to do the asphalt element of the road. But when I went there, I observed that there was certain parts of concrete that needed repair as well. And one or two community members had also pointed out to me that there are certain holes in the concrete. So I went to the contractor and I said, you're here already. If you only do and complete the asphalt element of the road, you would only do the job 50% or halfway. And I said to him, speak with the relevant persons and let's get the concrete section of the road repaired as well. He spoke to his supervisors. I also spoke with them and lobbied for the concrete section to be done. And it just took us maybe a day or two extra to get that work done. And we have, effective repairs of that concrete section as well as the asphalt section. But that was done because I actually went on site and engaged with the persons undertaking the physical work, undertaking the repairs to see what they are doing and to make sure that they're going to deliver a quality product on behalf of the constituents. There are a number of us that are able to advocate for them or on them. And as I said, I've been able to do this, not yet as the representative for South Leeward. So I am listening carefully to all of the people of South Leeward. I am listening to their concerns. I am registering them, and I am formulating or adjusting my plan as to how I will adequately and effectively represent the people of South Leeward at the parliamentary level and certainly at that level. Budget all of my life from a sort of public service or statutory body approach or even regional bodies. So I understand the element of budgeting and making sure that at a very early stage, you are able to put in your proposals and you get consideration for certain on government, because government has a budget by which it operates. You hear in the parliament roughly every January the debate of that budget. And again, I am going to argue strongly that there is an allocation in the budget for the issues that affect the people of South Leeward. I'm going to argue and advocate that a segment of that budget is geared towards improving the lives of the people of South Leeward. And it is something that I will do religiously and consistently. And once that budget has been approved, I'm not just going to sit in an office and say, go out and do the work. No, I am going to go once the work is commenced, once the work is ongoing, to see what is being done and to ensure that we get value for money for the people of South Leeward, value for money for the people of St. Vincent and Grenadines.
Okay. So question to you. Okay, so we're going to see how we could gauge this so that we could open the phone lines. What are your general role or thoughts with regards to legacy voting? Because we recognize that in South Leeward and in the North, well, in the Grenadines in particular, that persons tend to vote along the same line. Now, while we look at it on the side of the NDP, we can also say the same legacy type of voting has probably been happening with the ULP, given that they've been in power for 25 years. So what are your general thoughts with regards to legacy voting?
People vote along traditional lines in the main. It's not just St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but globally. That's why generally when you have people who do polls or canvassing, they have an idea of how the election is going to turn out. What are the results likely to be? And people have various reasons why they vote along traditional lines. In Southwood, particularly in the Camden Park community, a lot of persons vote for the NDP because of the good work. And I will admit, and I will commend him, the good work done by Jerry Scott. A lot of the roads in Camden Park, they were built under the NDP regime when Jerry Scott was the area representative. A lot of that, whether directly or indirectly, would have facilitated those persons being able to occupy the lands, being able to build their homes. And I suppose it's repeated across South Leeward. So I must recognize the work and the contribution made in 25 years. And that's a long time ago. I respect your tradition. I respect why you are loyal to it. But I want to speak to the person you've been voting for the last 15 years. I have not seen anything contributed by that person in the last 15 years. And it's not me speaking as a candidate for the ULP. This is me speaking as a constituent of South Leeward. I disappointed, received over the candidate for the. So while I respect the legacy vote, while I respect the traditional vote, for me, I want to say to the people of South Leeward, let us continue to respect what Jerry Scott did. However, it is time to move into the present, and it's time for us to move into the future. The Unity Labour Party has been working on behalf of the people of South Leeward. You could look across any community in South Leeward, and you could see there are children who benefited from the education revolution. And I'm not talking about primary school, secondary school. I'm speaking about persons who've been able to access scholarships to advance their education at the university level. Those are the people I'm speaking about. Work has been done with the farmers. Sanders is in South Leeward. The next one, the beaches, is going to be properly in Central Leeward. But work has been done on behalf of, yes, Sanders
in South Leeward?
Sanders is in South Leeward. Yes, it's right on the border. It is in South Leeward. So
I thought Central Leeward was claiming this.
Well, perhaps, but
All right.
I've often joke with the representative for Central Leeward and say, I'm not a greedy fella. I could agree to share this point.
Okay.
But work has been done by the Unity Labour Party on behalf of the people of South Leeward. Of course, on behalf of all of the people of St. Vincent. You look at the impact of burial, the houses that were destroyed, persons who didn't have houses, and you see lots of houses being built and repaired in South Leeward. That is done under the Unity Labour Party administration. So I think if persons look around, they will see that the Unity Labour Party has been working for them and will continue to work for them. And they could look on the other side and see for the last 15 years, there has been no representation. And I say to some of the people, particularly when I speak with them and I gather that they are opposed to the Unity Labour Party, I say to them, if you continue to vote the NDP in South Leeward, then you are responsible personally for your own future. And you are responsible for the future of South Leeward. So I want you to give serious consideration and serious thought as to why you are going to vote and who you are going to vote for in the upcoming general elections. And certainly, in all good faith and honesty, I cannot vote for the NDP representative because 50s, nothing has been done. That's as if you had a child who entered preschool and you had a child with this fellow, and for the first 5 years, he didn't do anything for the child. You sent the child to primary school, and he is still delinquent. And I think this one is end story and so forth. But for the NDP representative, he's not paid child maintenance or any maintenance for 5, 10, or 15 years. So why would we vote for somebody who is not paying attention to the constituency, who has not paid attention to the constituency for 15 years? We cannot facilitate and encourage stagnation. South Leeward people must consider progress, must consider that they want better for South Leeward, must consider that they want better for themselves. And I am willing to be their voice. I'm willing to be their advocate. I'm willing to be their champion to ensure that South Leeward becomes one of the best constituencies overall in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And anybody who knows me know I am very competitive. So when I say the best constituency in South Leeward, that is actually my vision, and that is actually what I am going to work for on behalf of the people of South Leeward when they return the Unity Labour Party to government, and certainly when they make the right decision and vote progressively for Grenville Williams in the 2025 elections.
All right. So we have more questions, but we're going to open the phone lines to listeners. So we see we have a caller there. Hi, Queens, I believe. Good morning.
Yes.
Go ahead with your question, Queens.
Good morning. In 2010, David Brown. 2015, Jomo Thomas. 2020, Minerva Glasgow. From a scale to 1 to 4, by the act of nature, what you think is the act of nature?
All right. So you would listen off air and we'd allow him to.
No, I
Mr.
don't want to listen off here.
You don't? Okay, Mr. Williams.
You got 2 minutes, so give us 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
But
Well,
what you don't talk for 2 minutes?
Well, I don't believe any of the opponents or individuals who put themselves forward to represent the people of South Leeward. Unfortunately, they were not victorious in their efforts to become the next representative under the Unity Labour Party administration. Zero representation over the last 15 years. They are fatigued with the fact that they cannot show any progress by this representative. And as pointed out to me by someone, and I've spoken of this, don't use the argument that he's in opposition. His profession is...
That point, I heard you made that point already.
Right, as several persons pointed out, you've not even utilized your skills and your knowledge to help to advance 10 young people, 15, 20 young persons in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in South Leeward in particular, in the communities that you represent. So for me, there is a lack of initiative, energy, there's a lack of will, and there's a lack of ability to represent the people of South Leeward. Every parliament, this person comes and they ask about a road in South Leeward. While roads are very important and we need to fix the roads, we cannot build a nation simply by building roads only. In the last parliament, this person came to the parliament, the one day they're required to report to work. They came to the parliament and they spent about 10 minutes. The parliament began at 10 a.m. and we finished about 11 p.m. That person came maybe at 10 a.m. and by 10:15, 10:30, they were no longer in the parliament on the one day that they are required to be at work and to speak on behalf of the people of South Leeward. Questions are put by the opposition. Questions are put by the opposition people to the members on the government. There's not a single question from South Leeward. How could the people of South Leeward want to vote for someone who, on the one day they're required to go to work, could not even muster the energy, could not muster the intellectual capacity to ask a question, to advocate on behalf of the people of South Leeward? I would be very disappointed in South Leeward if for a fourth term, that is the decision that they make, because all of us in South Leeward, including myself, this is of representation we elect in South Leeward. It is time for South Leeward to do better. It is time for South Leeward to be better. It is time for South Leeward to vote for someone who is going to be their advocate and their voice. As I said a few minutes ago, when I speak to the future of South Leeward, and I hope in being responsible for the future of South Leeward, you will vote for progress and you will vote for Grenville Williams and the Unity Labour Party.
All right, Queens, question asked and answered, right? Mm-hmm.
Roleza.
Yes, Queens.
Roleza, could you give me 1 minute monologue? He just talked for 5 minutes.
You want a monologue?
I didn't expect to be on for 5 minutes.
All right, Queens. Go ahead quickly. Mm-hmm.
So you lived in Barbados, and there's a cartoon from Barbados named Classic. He says, crime out here getting worse, shine the light on the AG Force. Do you think the government has been tough on crime, knowing that they put 3 policemen officer that was convicted in the court back into the police force after they were convicted in court. And my last point, the reason why nature keep talking about roads, as you just said, 70% of the people in the community are asking you about roads. Maybe 95% of the people in the community are asking him about roads. That's why he keeps talking about roads. And you see the technique where they talk for 5 minutes and go to something else so you don't get to say anything.
But he answered you still. He wasn't rambling. There's a difference. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
Thank you very much, caller. And I think you misunderstand the context of Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Because in Barbados, a wide song is about the AG. Barbados also has a national security portfolio. So he was singing not specifically to the AG, but singing to the AG in his capacity as Minister of National Security, because he's currently a political AG in Barbados, as it is in Antigua and other places, as allowed by the Constitution. The issue of crime, it is a common crime. I would say yes. Is there more that can be done and more that we should be doing? I would also answer yes. And on another time, maybe I will go through a complete plan as to the situation here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the point I want to make, yes, I'm not saying he should not come to Parliament and speak about roads, but I am saying his entire 15 years should not simply be about roads, because there are more significant issues that leads to the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, lead to the development of South Leeward, and lead to the development of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. For example, I would love for him to talk about young people in South Leeward who've benefited from scholarships, who have gone on to make a great life for themselves, and who perhaps are engineers and could come back and assist with some of the roads, etc. If we do not equip these people, and if we simply talk about roads, then we are not going to be advancing the civilization of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So yes, we need to talk more than just about roads, and that maintains my position.
All right. So I know somebody was trying to call before. You can try calling now, but in the meantime, let's take some other questions that we see coming in on the WhatsApp.
So there's a question here, says, after 24 years, what has the ULP done to create real long-term careers that keep young Vincentians from leaving the country?
First and foremost, the Unity Labour Party has taken a position that by 2030, it is going to have a university graduate in every household, university or college graduate in every household in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All of us must admit that when we look at the graduation at the community college, when we look at the number of Vincentians at university, that program has been a success. I'm not the program has been perfect. There is no such thing on earth as perfection. Every day we live, we see opportunities to enhance something, we see opportunities to improve something. But not to disrespect the blind, but even the blind could see that the education revolution has been successful beyond measure. I think one time, one of the ministers, Mr. Caesar, said, we have taken the extraordinary and we have made it ordinary. All of you go to university. It's everyone who works hard, everyone with the capacity, everyone who applies, especially over the last 2 years, because everybody who applied for the tuition scholarship received it. The Unity Labour Party, that's the cornerstone of a great nation, any great civilization. So they've done that. We've opened up St. Vincent and the Grenadines by making us accessible to the world through the building of the Argyle International Airport. That's a gateway to the world, and it's one of the reasons why Sandals is going to sign the agreement today to expand its hotel in Petershope by building private mountain, so by building beaches. So there's that avenue. And if we look at the tourism statistics, more and more people are coming into St. Vincent and the Grenadines, whether as crews or stayover visitors. We have made significant investment in the tourism product. So there's the tourism economy. We have made significant investment in the agricultural sector.
All right, let's take a pin and you'll get back to it. All right. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Now, Mr. Williams,
Good morning.
I have a question. I've got two questions for you. You from South Leeward?
Well, that's a simple question to answer. Yes, I was born and raised and grew up in the village of Lower Kittels. Yes.
Yes. Well, we're talking about non-representation along with the opposition elected member. And you also said that you're always talking about roads. But you compounded by saying when you went to the villages, when you asked them what do they like to happen, they complain about the roads.
Yes.
That is number one. Number two, the last election, Miss Minerva Glass or Edwards, whichever she is,
Glasgow, I believe
she got
it
a
is.
beating because nature increased his votes by 700, something so. It was increased. I remember the exact
Yeah, she
figure.
lost by 505
No.
votes.
If a party is in power for 25 years, there should be a legacy within that area. Can you pick a point, a legacy that if he is running on a ticket from Jerry Scott? So there should be a legacy. Spread them away from Jerry Scott into your pool.
Well, I've started out, and this also goes to the question that I was answering previously. One of the things that I have advocated for, and one of the legacies that will live on, is the fact that the Unity Labour Party has invested heavily in the education of our people, including the people of South Leeward. That is a legacy beyond any. If we want to speak about housing, I could look just over in Clare Valley, and the Unity Labour Party built what they call the low-income housing community there that afforded young professionals an opportunity to own their own home at a very early age. They are working, they are teachers, they are police officers, they are public servants. They can apply and they are given a 100% mortgage, which is also a feature under the Unity Labour Party to be able to own their own homes. I could speak
Let me
about...
ask you another question. Is the 100% mortgage still on? Can I go to the bank and get that?
I believe it is, yes. I believe that...
You believe? I don't want
to say 100% as far as I'm aware, and I don't want to say and be wrong, but I believe, I don't think that policy has changed. It still remains in place.
And Mr. Williams, you want to continue the housing, building housing down the same area. Why this continued?
No, I don't think necessarily they were to continue building there, because as you may appreciate, so some of the land is private and you have to acquire the land. And there is a plan and a vision to build more houses in South Leeward by the Unity Labour Party. There's actually a plan in place for it. Right now, they are just to go out of South Leeward.
Remember the bank went under?
No, the bank did not go. The bank did not go under.
Are you sick on the bank?
The bank did not go under, and as a matter of fact, the bank is actually now much stronger than it has ever been.
Yeah, but St. Lucia.
No. It's more. It is owned by Vincentians now, including private Vincentians, because there were shares offered to the public as well. A certain percentage of shares offered to the public.
But just tell me what percentage of the bank is St. Lucian?
If any at all, it's a very tiny percentage. The majority of it is owned by St. Vincentians, by institutions in St. Vincent and the government of St. Vincent. So the majority, it is owned by the government and people of St. Vincent. There was a period in time when we had a connection with St. Lucia, but that period is behind us.
All right, call it good now?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, I see somebody else. Okay, so let's take this call and you'll get back to the finishing up. You have to point for the other caller. Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sister. How you doing?
I am fine, and you?
This is John McGill.
Yes, sorry. So you have
Yeah. Good morning to my good friend in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know what's talking, right?
Yes, John.
It's about a year ago that the government had built a house for me in Grenville. And up to now, I ain't got the deed for the house in Grenville. And I am asking you, please, before, if you can help me with that deed before the general election call.
John, I could give you some assurances on that. I actually was of the view that our offices had processed that already and it should be on its way to you. So let me just follow up with that for you.
Yeah, because,
so I'll give you the assurance that we'll get that done for you. Not because of the election, but we'll get it done for you because it's the title that you should have since you're already in possession of the house and it was identified and destined to be your property. And the way to really effect property of land is for you to have title to that land. So I assure you, worry not, I will get that done for you. As far as our responsibility of preparing the instruments, but I think we've done that already. So I'll just have to follow up in the system as to where it is.
All right, John.
All right.
But you have my assurance it will be advanced.
All right. Okay, John.
Yeah, but listen to me. Hi, hello.
Yes, you're here.
Let me wish you all the best and really working hard for me sure that because I know you for months of years. I know you. And you're a very good, hard working young man. And I know what God had, you're gonna bring home South Lever seat for the Unity Labour Party and for the people in South Lever. Bucketon show once you put Gavin Williams to be the representative. Bucketon show the people in all. You have a good representative who will go every step of it will to make sure that the people in that constituency get better representatives. And I'm really looking forward that you gonna win that seat coming up in the general election. So let me wish you all the best and continue to do all God work and all the work that you're supposed to do in South Lever to make it better. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, John. With God, all things are possible and God is able. And I also thank you very much for the vote of confidence.
Okay. All righty. So we just still a little bit of extra time. We'd end at 10 past. That works for you? Okay. All right. So we actually joined by Doc. Doc is there. Doc, are you here? Good morning.
Am I able to? Yes. Grenville, I must apologize because I didn't know you were going to be in a light blue jacket this morning. People read into that to some degree, you know. But I wanna maybe Roleza and Dianna.
Let me explain the light blue jacket, Doc. There's a big sign-in for Sandals Beaches today. So when I leave here, at some point in time, I'm going to journey there to be part of that ceremony. So that's the reason for the light blue jacket.
Well, I'm not going to be there. I'm definitely not going to be there. But listen, I've been speaking to a number of people, and persons have been saying it's truly amazing that you're hearing me.
We hearing you, but you just sound a little faint. But
okay, let me tell you. You know, it's been amazing. People been saying it's amazing that maybe as the Attorney General, where you had probably only been speaking at a number of openings, but not really speaking in Parliament, people have been saying, oh my gosh, this gentleman has a voice and that he is confident, able to express himself on a wide range of things, and that he is a person who is on the ground and seems very genuine. How do you really translate this in the South Leeward area to real vote? I mean, is it something that you think you are able to do to push that confidence that people are now seeing, and that voice, that expression that your powerful expression you're now portraying? Oh, no, you've always been portraying, but people are hearing. How do you view that?
Doc, I've actually said to some persons that I think the key to me winning this election is actually having a lot of conversations with persons on the ground. Because just like I would feel their questions here on radio, I'm able to engage with the people and feel their questions, and I'm able to articulate what they think are reasonable position on a wide array of issues. And they can make their own determination that if and when they give me the opportunity to represent them in the Parliament of St. Vincent, in the Cabinet of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I will take that same power of advocacy to the Parliament. I will take it to the Cabinet, and I will put it to work on their behalf. So persons who don't know me, once they engage with me, they understand Grenville a bit better, and they understand why I want to be their voice.
All right, so we are coming close to the end, but I have just one more question to ask Mr. Williams. So we've referenced a key talking point is your position as AG, and you are currently a political candidate for a seat. We heard last week that the NDP stated that there will be no victimization should they get into office. And I know that you've clearly tried to make that distinction between your role as AG and your role as a political candidate, in that they are separate and distinct functions for you. Given that the NDP has stated that there'll be no victimization, and should they win the next election, and should they ask you to stay on, would you work for them under their administration?
Thank you very much, Roleza. That's not even a very difficult question because I am confident that the Unity Labour Party is going to win the 2025 election. So that's not something I have to consider. Certainly, I am always professional in my undertaking. I think everyone who knows me, who interacts with me, will know I don't make political decisions, even though I also wear a political hat. That has always been my history. Some persons will come to me and say, how you work with this person, the NDP? And I normally say, I never ask anyone their political persuasion. I look at a person's professionalism. I look at the quality of work that they deliver. I look at the level of service they offer to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And where you are professional, I can work with you. And I have worked with persons who the public perceive to be NDP, and we've never had a discussion as it relates to the job as to who you support or who you do not support. I simply assess. And let me look at it this way. When I came here as Attorney General, I said to my staff in one of the few staff meetings we had that if you were sent here by a politician, I only report to the Minister of Legal Affairs, who so happened to be the Prime Minister. But if you were sent here by a politician, remember, this is not a political job. I am here to deliver a service on behalf of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I will encourage and admonish all of you to deliver your service to the highest quality. Because if I have to take action and say that you cannot be a member of this team because you're not delivering at a professional level, I do not want any politician calling me. And if your politician is required to call me on your behalf, it means that you're embarrassing that politician. It means you're embarrassing the country. It means you're embarrassing the government. So I encourage all persons in St. Vincent, regardless of your political persuasion, to do your job at a professional way, in a professional way, and work on behalf of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and your own behalf. Because once we work professionally, we are not just helping our country, we are helping ourselves to live in a better country. So that is how I would answer. I look at a person's professionalism. I do not discuss politics when it comes to the job. And if you are a ULP supporter and you have a job, I am saying to you, work like you support the Unity Labour Party. Work hard, work diligently, work so hard that everybody could say there is no nepotism, there is no favoritism. You have this job because you have the capacity, you have the competency, and you are given this job because of the merit. And no one should raise a question as to why you are serving in that particular job. And even if you were politically appointed, you make the job and the service of that job shine in such a fashion that everybody in St. Vincent would say, I want to be like that professional, because they exemplify what a good, hard-working, diligent professional should be like. So make the politicians proud, make yourself proud, make your family proud, make the nation proud by the professionalism that you display in all your undertakings. And make your political party proud too by working hard to build St. Vincent, to make St. Vincent a better nation every single day. And that is what I do in my profession. I don't do it because it's Unity Labour Party. I do it because it is my duty to St. Vincent, it is my duty to my family, and it is my duty to myself to conduct my affairs in the most professional manner and to give the best quality service I can to all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that is what I will continue to do. But in 2025, after the votes are counted, the Unity Labour Party will be governing St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I want to challenge you now, but we out of time. because I feel like I still waiting to hear whether it's a yes or no. I got your response, but I still waiting to hear if it's a yes or no. But I will let you be for now. All right. So we have come to the end of our interview with Mr. Grenville Williams, the current sitting Attorney General, and he is also the ULP's candidate for South Leeward. Not sure if we're going to have time to bring you back before the elections are called, but we will see how it goes, right? Because we still have other questions, but we will see how it goes. But just in case, we wish you all the best in the upcoming elections, and we see what happens from there. Most I can tell you is we wish you all the best at this point in time, okay? But thank you very much for being here with us this morning.
Thank you very much. And just to end the question that call asks about legacy, my answer, I started by answering and speaking about education and the fact that all great nations are built on a solid education foundation. I went into housing and agriculture and a few other things. I know we are out of time, but the Unity Labour Party is taking this country to the next level, to the first world level, and that is the legacy that is here in South Leeward. Ask all of the students who are graduates of the community college, who are beneficiaries of the scholarships, to go on to university, to make a difference in the lives of their family, themselves, and for the country. And I think it was one of the American presidents who asks, don't necessarily ask what my country can do for me, but what can you do for the country? And the Unity Labour Party, this is the legacy, is empowering all our people. The country has done for you by providing these opportunities, but more importantly, you can do for the country, because we have now empowered you to be more educated, more equipped, and better prepared, not just for life here in St. Vincent, but life around the globe. So that is the power of the ULP legacy, empowering people of the Grenadines.
All right. And with that, we bring our interview to an end. Mr. Williams, wishing you all the best and have a great day.